Hi, this is Bobby Curnow, Chief Turtle Editor at IDW Publishing, and you are going to have a shell of a good time inside the pull bag.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1 Mike and the rest of the comic reading crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, IDW, Boom Studios, Zenoscope, and more, we have everything you want to read right here. Transformers comics? Yeah, we cover that. He-Man? Yeah, sure. DC superheroes like Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Batman Beyond? Yep, we have those too. How about TMNT from IDW and I Hate Fairyland from Image Comics? Yeah, we have all that here. Plus, so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So without any further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we are reading right now here inside the pull bag.
But us, turtles, outcasts of society, why do we have to stand alone against the forces of evil?
Face it, man, it's the only job we're qualified for.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, back to work.
Hello and welcome to episode 389 of the Pull Bag. I am, of course, TFG1 Mike, and joining me in this turtle-tastic, fun-filled episode is Mr. Joe Reed. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I am well. I'm looking at a fancy new microphone, so maybe I don't come across sounding like I'm talking into a Talkboy tape recorder or anything.
Yeah, as of this recording, I have not edited our last episode that we did, or I should say our first episode back. As of this recording, I have not edited it yet. Edited it. God, I can't even say
I can't say that word either.
Oh, God, it's killing me. I haven't done podcasting in over a year, and I feel like I can't talk at all. Anyway, so I have not edited it. God, that even sounded...
Nope, no, I didn't make it.
It has not been finished or worked on yet, so I don't know how episode 387 sounded. Hopefully the listeners are still here for our totally tubular turtle talk. Wow, I can say that, but I can't say edited. And in this episode, we're going to be tackling the TMNT Macro series, kind of like the Micro series from a few years ago that they did with the four, or actually they did more than four. They did the four turtles, they did Splinter, April, Casey,
Shredder,
Bebop and Rocksteady, and others. Go back, I'll link those old Micro episodes in this post. But they're going back to the Turtles stories with this Macro series, and I'm looking at it in the trade paperback. I'm sure you're looking at it in single issue.
Yep. So chronologically speaking, this came right after our last episode. The what was that? Not City of War.
Battle Lines. Yeah, it kind of does. Because they released them all as single issues first. Each of these fits within. Oh, God, I should look it up, shouldn't I? Somebody said to me, or said something somewhere, that they were looking forward to reading the adult Turtles series, and I it was on a podcast or something, and I'm like, adult Turtles series? How do you not consider the IDW series not adult enough? Have you not read it? Because there's plenty of adult things in this IDW series, and what they were meaning was the fact that IDW reprinted the Image Comics run, and how adult that the Image Comics were. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but you still should read the regular main IDW ongoing.
Yeah, and even the Mirage run. I mean, the first issue is dark. And yeah, occasionally they're shown drinking beer, or occasionally somebody gets stabbed. But altogether, it's the original Turtles comic is more a symbol of the love of the comic industry and independent creators and black and white comics. It's not that adult. I think people just want their Ninja Turtles to be Batman. Only they kill people and stab people and curse. And, okay, I'm just in it for a good story. I don't really mind which story you're telling, and IDW's consistently been doing a good job with that.
I don't, other than a few art style choices, not saying we dislike the artists themselves, but there have been a few art style choices that I have not liked in the IDW run. However, that does not take away from my enjoyment of the overall story that this entire series has done. Okay, so as far as continuity goes,
it felt like this could almost have happened really anywhere. I don't think it is too tied to any one moment.
It is and it isn't. So Donatello and Michelangelo, according to the continuity thing I have, takes place before the final issue of Kingdom of Rats. And then Leonardo takes place after Bebop and Rocksteady hit the road. And then Raphael takes place after the end of Battle Lines, which was issue 89. So the only way we could do them on the podcast, folks, and do them sanely and not have to worry about splitting everything up or combining it with other things, is we do it all as one episode and one thing. And after reading them, I'm like, yeah, there's, no reason to not just have these 4 comics as their own thing, because it does not take away my understanding or enjoyment of where the cast of characters are currently. Running down the creative, on the Donatello book, we have Paul Allor. Yay, Paul Allor! Got to get him in for an interview at some point. Bram Revell and Chris Peter are on art and colors for Donatello. Mikey's was written by Ian Flynn with artist Michael... Oh, God, what? I love that guy. What's... Dynalius?
I think it's Diolinus.
Diolinus.
He corrected us on social media once and put a pronunciation for it, and I think that's where I got Diolinus.
Yeah.
But I just still don't feel like that's right.
Again, another turtle artist we're going to have to get in here for an interview to figure it out and whatever. Leo's was written by Sophie Campbell, and the Leo's was written and the art was done by Sophie, with colorist being Brittany Peer. And then Raph, this was the Target R thing that Mr. Bishop kept talking about. So story and layouts were done by Kevin Eastman. Script was done by Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz. Pencils and inks by Ben Bishop. And the colors were done by Tommy Varga.
I think that's Kevin Eastman's personal colorist.
Could be.
I think I'd double check that, but I think that's probably how this got done. I know Ben Bishop was very excited all over social media when this was about to be released, because Ben Bishop is us, folks. He grew up with the Turtles. He slept in the Turtles sleeping bag, and he's been a comic artist since like a child and applied to Marvel while he was still in high school. And at the end of everything, he's doing signings with Peter Laird and Steve Levine at the comic store over in Maine, and he's working with Kevin Eastman on their personal little pet projects, and I think he's a cool cat.
Absolutely, got to get there. I want to get a lot of the TMNT artists on for interviews, because I've loved all of their art. The only one I will say right now that I had a little bit of trouble with, and we'll talk about it once we get into this, is Bram Revel and Chris Peter on the Donatello one. I don't like the way Donnie is. There's a couple of scenes where he looks like he's a piece of origami. It's weird. It's more in the battle scenes of the issue, of the Donatello issue, where he just doesn't look like, I don't know. But that's my really only gripe with this, with these 4. The rest of it I absolutely love. So
yeah, I thought the art in the whole Donatello issue, I love how Harold is drawn, Bebop, Rocksteady, everything. I love what it looks like. I'm not a tremendous fan of the oval head of Donatello.
Yeah.
But that's personal stuff, and not a gripe. That's just the way that this artist has chosen to do it. But everything else is fantastic. I do enjoy like every single other panel in here.
Yeah. There's one panel in here where I believe, and again, you and I are looking at this in two different ways, but it says page 12. Mm-hmm. It's when Harold comes to Donnie, and, Harold says, you said you needed my help to safely dismantle all the old metalhead technology, the parts left behind when you let that killer robot go free. That's why I came. That's the only reason I came. Not to help you play mad scientist. So in Comixology's guided view, it pulls close in on the panel of where he says not to help you play mad scientist. Donatello looks like he has hair. Like there's a line drawn on his forehead, and I guess the artist is trying to say, hey, I kind of look like Bart Simpson a little bit or something. I don't know, and it just looks weird to me.
Maybe that's a printing error on yours. I see scrunched eyebrows, but otherwise...
Yeah, I see scrunched eyebrows too. Like I said, I'll take a screen cap of it and show you, but I don't know, man. It just looks weird. And the way the light is on his face and the way the shadows are, like... the right side of Donatello's face, so the left side of the image, is all in shadow, and then there's like one little shadowy part under his eye on his face, and I'm like, that just doesn't look right. It looks like somebody tried to draw a nose next to under his eyeball. Not really, but anyway. So this is a Donnie and Harold story, and Donnie, Harold, and Metalhead, and Donatello wants to try to figure out the future.
So Donnie, as a problem solver, and probably as one of the turtles who's lost, I don't want to say the most, but he had a special experience not too many issues ago, dying and all, and getting transferred into a robot. He's struggling with all of that, and Donnie wants to find a way to be able to better predict the problems so that he can stop them from happening. Donnie Ever, the inventor, wants to find a way to use that to solve the problems that haven't happened yet. A little bit like Tony Stark, really. Only he doesn't have that futurist kind of sense.
Yeah. Donnie's a genius, but he's not Tony Stark level genius.
And, we mentioned the genius word, and I mentioned the inventor word. What I appreciate most about all four of these books is the turtles they all have an archetype. Party dude, anger guy, the Boy Scout, and Donatello's the smart one. And when we are reading the stories in the collected books where it's an ongoing thing, you get little winks here and there of who these characters are. Donnie's always going to be the one rushing to fix something that's broken so they can achieve the mission. But when they're in their own issue, where the other brothers are not the highlight, you get to see how multidimensional they are. And you see Donnie struggling with his own character flaws and dealing with that. And it's the thing that I think IDW has gotten the most right. And I think what comics get to do that, like, the cartoons don't, or the ongoing series where you really get to linger with them as characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said for a long time now, as long as the comic, I don't want to say it this way, but I have to phrase it this way, as long as the comic is successful, as long as there's a plan to tell the story, they have almost an infinite, unless something majorly drastic happens, or unless, you're just want a cash grab to restart your universe and get a new number one kind of thing. DC, Marvel. As long as there's room for the story, as long as there's, and we've known this for years now that we've been covering the IDW run. Every time we've talked to Bobby, the one time we talked to Tom Waltz, there has been a plan, and every time there has been a meeting for them to say, okay, where do we go? Like, after, what was it? City Fall. Where do we go from here? Where do we take them? What do we do with them? Let's do something that no one would expect. Let's reference something or homage something that no one would expect, but when you see it, you're like, oh my, like, there have been a couple of times that you've said in the past where, oh my god, Angel is a reference to, Angel in her robot suit is a reference to, nobody.
The old Mirage book, yeah.
It's the old Mirage book, so it's like, you always have that thing, and you always have that plan, and as long as you have something that's gonna, I can't see myself not reading this book. I don't think these creators would ever do anything. I cross my fingers and pray to God Venus doesn't show up somehow.
Oh, no, dude. They're going to totally do Venus, but it's going to be done right and amazing. And I get Venus and there was Venus and Mona Lisa. I get those two confused. And I don't know if there's a reason for that, if Venus became Mona Lisa or if Mona Lisa became Venus. Mona Lisa was the lizard critter. Venus is the female turtle from
Next Mutation.
And I don't know how spoilery we're getting with the books, but something similar to that happens, but not exactly.
By this time, everybody should know because that happened over a year ago. So we're on our way to seeing more of Jenica's story, and I gotta check the continuity and see where the two Jenica minis fit in. Damn it! I gotta email Bobby. Damn it! Anyway, just more turtle content for anyone who's listening.
Indeed, and I think that you were talking about the meetings that they have, and they've had a plan to 100, and they have the loose plan for after 100 that they're working on, and then the pandemic has kind of messed that up. But
right.
One of the I think they've mentioned a couple of times that they have faced pressure to renumber the series or start over, not necessarily reboot it, but give it a clean start. And they're like, no, let us get to 72. No, let us get to 100. Yeah. And I think the only reason that they've been able to continue doing what they're doing is that, Nick likes what they're doing and the fans like what they're doing. Yep. So, yes, please keep the comics going,
Yes, and while we're not here to speculate or discuss all the stuff that's going on at IDW, I know IDW as a company has been going very, very badly lately. They've been hemorrhaging money, which sucks. And they've gone through 3 or 4 different publishers and all that and everything else, and it's just crazy. I hope they find a balance. I hope they stay in business, because without IDW and their team for any of the licensed comics that they do, whether it's Turtles, whether it's Transformers, whether it's My Little Pony, whether it's Back to the... whatever it is, without the company being there, we won't have these comics. So support them, support your local comic shop, support, whatever you're going to support. Just do it, folks. Anyway, back to Donnie. He doesn't... His math is off, and he screws up, and a homing beacon summons another metalhead. And this metalhead is really, really weird. First I thought, is that Harold in that thing? Because he kind of talks like Harold.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, this metalhead has been around. There was the little one that Harold made, and then this one got made at some point, and I don't remember when or where, and it turned evil. But it's that same big evil metalhead. I think he rebuilt himself, made him tougher.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't the one that Donatello put his mind in, but I think that this guy has part of Donatello's consciousness in him.
Probably, yeah. Absolutely. And, they're going back and forth and trying to figure out this thing and trying to figure out the math and whatever. And basically the metalhead tells him that, look, your math is off. And I can fix this, or you can fix this, and... I like the tinkering. I just wish it wasn't another metalhead. I wish this was Harold and him trying to figure out the problem. But I understand that Donnie needs an adversary here, and with him having been a part of Metalhead at one point, it's interesting to see the way this story plays out.
Yeah, the battle here is Donatello's own internal concerns, fears, feelings of inadequacy, and Metalhead wants to kill Donnie. He sees him as an inferior shadow of the robot that he is, the perfection that he is. But the truce has been called, and there's this small part of Metalhead that wants to save Donnie in this. And it's really interesting to see that come out, and then how Donnie's weaknesses and inadequacies are vocalized by the Metalhead, who knows what Donnie is thinking.
Yeah. And then Harold comes in and saves the day, or ruins everything.
Depending on your point of view.
Right, exactly. And I love that, Donnie goes on to say, after Harold comes in, I asked why you were cooperating with me, but you never asked me why I was cooperating with you. You sabotaged me, as if you weren't planning to double-cross me. Like, Donnie knows, and this is where his smarts comes in. Yes, he is the inventor. Yes, he is the tinkerer. Yes, he is all of that. But he's also a street smart turtle and a character smart turtle, especially a turtle that has already been in the mind of a metalhead. Maybe it's not this metalhead, but he apparently all metalheads are the same. Who knows? I don't know. Harold comes in, ruins everything, almost kills Donnie, but the hell with it. I'm like, damn it, don't shoot him. What the hell's wrong with you? But I see why he did it and what it was supposed to mean. What are some more of your thoughts on this as we go through it here?
They will be similar thoughts to what I felt with the rest of this series. So maybe I should save it. Definitely good and interesting, and I love having an opportunity to let the characters breathe and see them multidimensionally.
Absolutely. And I love by the end of it that we basically get Harold and Donnie being able to call a truce and work together, and they come to the realization of, I could use some help cleaning up this lab. I think I can do that, and then we'll figure out what happens next. So it's kind of like a message of live in the present and then figure out the future later. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, very nice issue.
Yes. Next up is the Party Dude issue, is Michelangelo, and Michelangelo's issue focuses on him being a sensei in the Foot Clan to all of the orphan children that they've taken in.
I think before we get too far into this, we should mention that on the single issues, all of these covers were drawn by David Peterson of Mouse Guard fame.
Okay.
All four of these, and they are absolute pieces of candy to behold. The Donnie and the Mikey issue in particular, as Mikey's shown at the farmhouse from the movie from Northampton, but
from Northampton, yeah.
And there's little Easter eggs all over these images, like the porch swing is broken, like Casey Jones breaks it in the movie.
Yep.
On the Donatello issue, he's working in a workshop. There's a Mythbusters welded sign on the floor. There's a Mouse Guard board game, Lock and Key comics from IDW. There's just gobs and gobs of little details in the background that are references to things from all over the Turtles universe. An Usagi Yojimbo sticker on the lamp. So definitely worth taking a look at those covers.
Absolutely. Also, the alternate covers, at least in the trade, at the end of each issue, they show you the Ryan Brown alternate turtle covers, and that will actually be the banner art for this issue, is the 4 turtle covers where it shows them in various poses, and they kind of look like their movie versions. Very, very cool.
Oh yeah, Ben Bishop also did a series of connecting covers for this run, and I think he sells prints of that on his online store, like a long poster of all 4 of them. And then he added the 5th turtle and did another connected poster. That is neat to see.
Yeah, that is very, very cool.
Yeah, I wonder if those Ryan Brown covers connect.
I don't think they do. I'm not sure.
No, maybe not. The backgrounds are a little different.
Yeah,
but they are cool nonetheless.
Yeah, they're very, very cool. Yeah, I was like, what am I gonna do for the what am I gonna have Steve Megatron do for the featured banner? And I only had access to what was in the trade, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll use the Ryan Brown ones. Very cool.
I keep taking this podcast and throwing it off the rails, but there's just so much to talk about, folks.
Absolutely.
IDW does amazing things and gets amazing people.
Absolutely, they do. So Mikey is kind of training the orphans that are at the Foot Clan, and he's doing it in the style of a ringmaster. The ringmaster is ready to take your order. And, he does all these descriptions. In the second ring is the bro with the bow, Donatello. And in the third ring, we've got the radically ripped Raphael. And Jenica is like, what are you doing?
I am not entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing Mikey being the party dude, the funny one, the jokester in this. He's entertaining the children and playing, and at least Jenica is definitely not entertained by this. Oh yeah, this was a very, very interesting issue. I'm paging ahead. I shouldn't.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Well, we get, and this is the one dimension of Michelangelo that we usually get, and so we're comfortable with it. Or there's nothing here yet. We're setting something up with that,
right? And he's got a point. These kids lost everything: their parents, their homes, everything. So why not giving them a few minutes of happiness, bettering them, bettering the city? Because that's how he says it to Jenica. And, again, like you said earlier, these one-shots are supposed to focus on one turtle, but Raph and Leo and Donnie are there. I think Donnie's there. Yeah, Donatello's there. Leo's there, but he's in with Master Splinter. But the other brothers are there, even though Mikey is, they're kind of like, what are you doing? It's kind of like Mikey's the candid camera host, even though there are no hidden cameras.
And I wonder if that comes from, if this was, I don't know, unintentional, accidental, but it needed to be this way, where Michelangelo is the least introspective of the turtles. Leo meditates and analyzes everything. Donnie internalizes everything and tries to fix things, and Raph is constantly self-loathing and hating himself for the anger. But Mikey is always the outward one, entertaining others, entertaining himself. And so I think to get this story told, you needed to have the others to put Michelangelo in that situation, or to frame him in that situation of having this wonderful kind of breakthrough moment that he has in this issue.
Absolutely. Because, Mikey never, Mikey in the IDW series, he's been serious at times. He's been the party dude at times, that's his main part of his personality, and that's fine. And his main thing is, why do we always have to fight? Why can't we get along? Why can't there be a truce? Why can't there be this? Why do we have to save everything or save everyone kind of thing? And I love that about him, because what I love about Mikey in IDW is when he gets emotional, when he starts getting real, the shit's gonna hit the fan, because like back after Donatello's arc where they killed him. I forget what it's called off the top of my head. Back issue 45 to 50.
Yep.
So
40, yep.
Yeah, so 44 to 50 or whatever. It's 45 to 50. Anyway, issue 51, Mikey was like, "No, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this battling. I don't, so we saw that then, and we're kind of seeing that now, where he's trying to be a role model to these orphans, to these people, these kids that they're bringing into the Foot Clan. And, Leo during this time is talking to Master Splinter, and, Mikey's like, oh, he's done with talking with Father, and Leo reveals that he's agreed to take the kids in. Mikey's like, Donnie's like, nice, yeah, to be trained as the next generation of Foot Ninja.
Mikey's like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Wow. And Mike, yeah, you're right. Mikey's like, no way. And it's just one of those things where, Mikey goes off and goes through this whole... What I love about these issues is some of them... I would never say to somebody, you need to read this before you read the other 80-something issues. I would tell people, start at the beginning of Turtles with IDW. However, if someone were to see this in a comic shop or whatever, or catch the trade or whatever, and they were reading this issue, I would say, oh, well, you'd be alright. You wouldn't know everything, but you could, like, this whole thing about how Mikey's going through what happened with when Splinter had done executed, when he almost murdered Zom. So we see the history that's going through. Obviously, you and I are reading this in the point of we've already read everything else to this period, but Mikey's point is, I don't want to fight him. I don't want to fight my family, period. And Raph's like, yeah, well, we can't fight him. He showed us that when he handed us our asses. And Donnie says, he's a clan master and our father, and I hate to say it, but we have to follow his lead. I think that's Donnie.
Yep.
Looks yeah. Yeah, yeah. But Mikey doesn't want to follow Splinter's lead. Mikey wants to Mikey's... So at the end of the last episode of the podcast, we talked about issue 89, where Splinter and the Turtles got back together for Christmas, and Splinter was Santa. And that awesome cover where Splinter was decorating the Christmas tree with the flag of Japan as the backdrop kind of thing. Mikey doesn't want to necessarily be Santa, but Mikey wants to give these kids a better choice, a better future, something with more fun in it. And we spend the next couple of panels, at least panels in my case, pages, where Mikey's he's taking out all the guards that are guarding the children, and he's basically absconding with the kids.
Yeah, this is where that coming off of that Christmas issue, it was kind of funny because, Splinter was like, oh, I've been wrong. I've been a right dirtbag. And then all of a sudden, Mikey, or in the next issue that we see Splinter, he's like, no, I'm going to turn children into warriors in my war against the rest of the city, and I'm going to make them kill people and become ninjas. And my sons are disobedient, lazy people, and they're not following orders, and they're questioning me. It's like Splinter. It's like, this is that jerk Splinter we were talking about. And Mikey is not afraid to acknowledge it. Even Donnie says, well, dude, he's dad. We got to follow his rules. And Leo, the stalwart, honorable, follow the code kind of guy, is like, yeah, I mean, we're Clan Hamato, we have a peace truce here. He's worrying about following the line. But Mikey is like, no, this isn't right. He's the only one saying that this isn't right. It shouldn't be like this.
Absolutely. And Splinter and the other 3 turtles, along with Jennika, go after them. And then we get Mikey, and Mikey really has no plan. All these kids need, they ask him, fresh air, sunshine, totally get back to nature. Is that how you grew up? Totally, I mean, kinda, in another life. What? It was forever ago, but I remember when I was little and Father was first teaching me, and I thought I wasn't going to cry in this podcast, god damn it, you turtle creators. But every time they take it back to Japan and the human version of these characters, of Splinter, of Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, and show us various things from the past, like Mikey basically hitting himself in the head with the nunchuck. And it's like, okay, he's teaching him this lesson, and and it's Mikey remembering this, and just seeing that is like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. And as they're going through the sewers, Mikey's like, oh crap, where's everybody else? Because apparently some of them are missing, or they haven't all done it, and we see him helping all of them, and like there's one panel where, Sensei, I'm hungry. Well, we'll get some eats in a bit. And they're like crawling over. Yeah, I'm tired.
Are we there yet?
Yeah, are we there yet?
Mikey realizes parenting is hard.
Yes, exactly. He's like, just stop, give me 5 minutes. No, I'm already doing this wrong. Maybe my bros were right. This is too much to handle. But what else am I supposed to do? I can't take them back to Michelangelo. Busted. So he tells the kids to go across the pipe, and Jennika goes on to say, all you're doing is making things worse. Come over here with the children immediately before you truly cause screw you. All of their faces like, what did you just say? And, we get this upcoming battle with Mikey and Splinter, and what doesn't really start this, and he goes on to say, these kids lost all they've ever known, and instead of helping them, you want to turn them into weapons. You're worse than the Shredder.
He totally is.
And they have this beatdown, and there's an amazing panel. Mm-hmm. I see. So be it. And it's Splinter with his stick and Mikey with his nunchucks. And oh man, this fight.
Mm-hmm. It could have gone on for 10 pages, and I'd have been happy.
Oh yeah, and just the reactions you see, like. There's a panel where Mikey strikes Splinter he basically elbows him in the left side of his face, and you see a panel of Splinter reeling back, and you see Jennika like a shock face, and then you see the turtles' reactions, and I think the only one that actually is enjoying this is Raph, because he doesn't really have a shock face. He's more of like a half smile on his face.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
3 times I've read this book. I didn't notice that. That's awesome. He's like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it reminds me of, and I don't know how much country music you've heard, but there's a Garth Brooks song on his In Pieces album called it's entitled "The Night I Called the Old Man Out."
Ooh.
It's about this kid who calls his dad out because his dad's abusive to him and his brothers and everything else. And I'm reading this issue, and I'm like hearing that song in my head, and I'm like, oh my god, Garth Brooks and the Turtles combined. Holy crap. So as this fight continues, they eventually get to the point where they end up switching their weapons. So Splinter ends up with a nunchuck, and Mikey ends up with his stick. And
the master becomes the student.
Yeah.
Like, the student becomes the master. That's some symbology right there. That's
absolutely
clever. I did not. Oh, you got to read these things 4 times or so before you really start to get it.
The funny thing is, because I look at the story first, and then once we're talking about it, I notice the art stuff. I got this immediately. Because I haven't read. This is the first time I've read any of this stuff, so I'm like, oh wow. That's so cool. And Splinter eventually calls Leonardo forward, and he congratulates him. Leo's like, "For what?"
Oh,
For
you can't get there without the best line in the book. It's like the fight's been going on. They've been trading some blows, but yes, of course, Splinter starts to dominate this fight because he's friggin' Master Splinter. And so Mikey takes a good fall, and Splinter says, "Enough, you need to yield." And he says, "Never. My father taught me to do what's right. My sensei taught me to fight the killers of the Foot Clan. If you want these kids, it'll be over my dead body."
Yeah.
And he's not going to give up. He's pulling a Captain Marvel. I'm going to pick myself up every time.
Yep.
Which teaches Splinter the lesson that he needed to learn.
Absolutely.
And then he asks Leonardo to step forward.
Yep. And he sees of how, the Clan Hamato is devoted to protecting the city citizens and the next generation. I expect this same level of devotion when you help in educating and training them. And Leo goes on to say, "Forgive me, Master Splinter. I seem to have forgotten the details of our arrangement. Please remind me." And Splinter goes on to say, "The Foot Clan will see to it these children are fed, clothed, and sheltered. They shall be given a full education so they will be prepared to return to the world. The Hamato clan will continue from this evening's exercise exclusively training the children in the martial arts. When the children come of age, they will have the option to further their skills by joining the Foot Clan." I believe that was the arrangement, was it not? It was. Thank you for the reminder. So Mikey's like, "Wait, that's not what you told us this afternoon." Leo whispers to him, "You won, you goober. He's given you an honorable way out." Ooh. And obviously everybody wants to go home. They're all very tired. And all of that, and yeah, it's just a fun issue. And go ahead.
I think at one point Leonardo calls it Mikey had a plan to do this, and I think from the reactions after that, as they're packing up and figuring out where they're going to take everybody for the night, and the issue wraps up that Mikey did not have a clue what he was doing. He was flying by the seat of his pants, and at the time doing what was right the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely loved it. We get into Leo's issue, and man, boy, do I remember this scene from the movie.
Yep, I don't think you can show the 4 turtles meditating and not think that
of
book.
Yep,
or that movie.
Yep, and they're in Northampton at the farmhouse. I love Sophie's art in this. I love the colors. I love the background. Very, very cool. Hey, even Pepperoni's there. And Leo has always been the one to do the whole astral plane thing. It has never been any of the other brothers' thing, and they're just like, "I'm just not feeling this." And Donnie's like, "I'm done for today. I feel like I'm beating my head against a wall with this, Leo." So the other 3 go relax or something, and Leo goes on a walk, and this walk takes him through one hell of a journey. I love the homage of the 4 baby turtles in the pond as he's walking along. I was like, oh, hey, that's so cool. You had mentioned to me off air that part of this is homaging, what'd you say, not the Mirage books?
There is a panel near the end of the book that is a throwback to one of the panels from issue 50.
Okay. Yeah. So as we go along in the story here, Leo ends up fighting Koya. What the heck Koya is doing in Northampton is beyond me, but okay. So they have a battle and they go back and forth, and Leo goes on to say that he thinks he understands Koya now. She's trying to... What does he say? Oh, I think I've lost it. Anyway.
Well, yeah, Koya and I guess her friend, Bludgeon the shark, the turtles beat them. I think Leo shredded Koya's wings so she couldn't fly, and she's... I think it's a she. Anyway, is flying now, and has an amulet that gives her these magic wings that she's using. But she's trying to get revenge against Leonardo for taking everything that she was. And when Leo sees that, and he sees her pain, and kind of takes a couple of blows as he's figuring it out before realizing that he needs to apologize.
Yep. There is one big panel shot of her revealing herself and her power where he says, she's remade herself into what she wants to be. After this panel, at least here in the guided view, what I love what they do on Comixology is the panels that show them fighting now. Mm-hmm. It's almost like photo booth photos. Mm-hmm. Like they're not obviously sitting in a photo booth, but it's like shown that way of how the fight is going, and the panels are shown in like photo booth kind of strips, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. And he goes on to, she goes on to say that you probably forgot all about me, you and your brothers maim us and then go on with your lives. Bludgeon and I did not go on with ours. And Leo says, you're right, I'm sorry.
And that takes Koya by surprise.
Yeah.
Coming for revenge, you don't expect to say, for your prey to say that, yeah, I kind of deserve that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
But then Leo starts talking wise, like, well, okay, what's going to happen after you take revenge? Mm-hmm. He mentions the amulet. He can see the power that it has, and that it's powered by her anger, and he says that it kind of suggests that might go away.
Yeah. And then they sit back and meditate, and we get the revelation where they're sitting down together, where he says, "I'm guessing if you're here, then Karai must be back too. Yes, she came back because it's time to take what she wants, the foot. I came back to do the same thing, to take what I wanted." And then she asks him, what do you want? And then that makes him think. And we see this beautiful, and I love Sophie's art here, we see this beautiful thing of Raph and Pepperoni and Mikey and Donnie and then Leo just meditating with Koya there, and it's just so cool. The art is so good. And we get Karai back. And I'm like, wow. Okay. And Karai and Leo have a quick sword fight until she basically slices his blade off.
Yeah, it was I think that it looked to me like this is a very friendly fight. Like
yeah,
we can handle each other. Let's just... Yeah. There's no anger in it. There's no fury. It's just...
Yeah.
Paraying a few times. Until, she uses that Foot Clan magic sword that she got from Japan to end it. Leo just tosses his broken sword away.
And she goes on to tell him, she says, I know as Chunin you won't go along with that, but I'm prepared to honorably fight. And he's like, no, it's fine, take the clan. She's like, what? I am not Chunin. I am not part of the Foot anymore. I am master of the Hamato clan now. As much as I'd love to wash my hands of the Foot, I can't. Your father? Yeah. So that is... This issue is basically setting up a very uneasy truce, but it's a truce nonetheless, because she even says close to the end, I hope the next time we meet, we can continue this sort of relationship. Not enemies, you mean? Yes, I'd like that too. And then the guys rush in, Leo, Kurai! And we figure, we stop, we're not fighting now. And once again, unless he's with Pepperoni or unless he's with Casey, I don't think Raph ever smiles. Because, when Leo says, stop, we're not fighting, not today, the next panel is Raph on the left, Mikey in the middle, and Donnie on the right. Mike and Don are both smiling. Raph has a grimace on his face.
Dang it.
Yeah. And Kurai says, we have a truce then? For now, and I hope for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember what happens explicitly during City at War, but I have a feeling that truce isn't going to last. But I'm thankful that we got to see it in this book, because I think it's what would have happened.
Yeah. And then
the Turtles are just so tired of Splinter and his shenanigans with the Foot.
Yeah. And by the end of this issue, they all just want to go hang out and all of that. And Leo notices that Koya is still watching them, which is fine. I mean, he almost has a smirk on his face, kind of thing. Love the writing. Love the character development on all of them, really. I mean, I know this is mainly Leo's issue, but every character that Sophie wrote in this was really, really well done. And we see, once again, each of the Turtles in their own... I mean, yes, they are together, but they're playing a board game in one panel. Pepperoni is sitting next to the TV watching them watch some Universal monster movie or some Godzilla thing or something. We see Leo by himself at the pond with the turtles, with the actual turtles. So very, and at the end it says, this is what I want, this family time. And I want to fight for it, and oh man, it is so good.
And these last couple of pages where it's the Turtles chilling out, I think there's definitely a part of Sophie and how she writes the Turtles that she wants to give them those moments of this is your peace, this is your rest, this is where, even in the current issues right now, it's the Turtles finding their new status quo in their very strange situation there. But we know what's coming next in these issues here, and the Turtles, after they're done kind of resting, relaxing, recuperating, they get back to New York. And it's that last page that is the homage to issue 50, where they're on the top of the freight car riding the train back to New York City, which is exactly how issue 50 ends, right before the bomb goes off that starts the City at War in that run. So foreshadowing, if you've read the old Mirage books, you know that it's not going to go well when they get back.
Yep. But before then, we have to deal with Target R. Oh boy. As much as I enjoyed this issue, I have to say, out of the four of them, this is the one I had the most trouble with.
You and me both, and I was about to say something like that. And I think it has a little bit to do with I don't want to say Raph's my least favorite turtle, but he's the one that I relate to the least. Mm-hmm. But what this issue does do well, even though it was the harder one for me, is it gives more reasons for why Raph is the way he is, and you get to watch him wrestling with that and dealing with that, and still fighting to hold on to the humanity that keeps him from going full Hulk all the time.
Yeah. What I love about this issue is that it's Raph and all of his compatriots. So at the very beginning, we got Raph and Casey doing snowball, baseball, whatever they're doing on the roof here. You got Alopex and Angel doing their thing and all of that. And then we get into... Now, this is what I mean when I say it's a little hard for me. Did they capture Raph, or is this Bishop and them trying to make a new turtle?
It's told out of sequence, which is why I had to kind of go back and forth a little bit too. They start. Well, he's captured about midway through the book, but it has already flashed there. Yes, this is Raph. They're capturing him. They're trying to get his DNA to figure out how to make more turtles or slashes to control. Right. And they're using Raph because he is the toughest of them. He's the biggest of the turtles, muscle-wise and anger-wise. I think Bishop relates to it. Bishop's back. So we know where he went when he ejected himself out of his little turtle shell body.
Yep.
Or fake Krang body that they made for the little guy.
Yep.
But yeah, so I guess this is a hard book to talk through because it does leap back and forth.
Yeah. Like I said before, I love all the moments with him and Casey. I love the moments with Angel and Alopex. I think that's super interesting. I love the art on it. The art is really cool. It's very... Out of the four of these, it is the most colorful with all the backgrounds and all of that, because I think it's the one that has the most amount of raw emotion. Like, yes, in Mikey's issue, we had raw emotion between him and Splinter, but all the colors, like, Mikey's not the angry dude. Donnie and Leo are not the angry dudes. Raph is the angry dude, so I get putting all of this color in the background, and I do enjoy that, absolutely. I think that is so great, but yeah, you're right, it's kind of hard talking through this one, because...
I think chronologically might be the best way to approach it, but this is the one that was written by Kevin Eastman, and Kevin Eastman he relates to Raph. That's kind of the turtle that he associates himself with. And this story is a send-up or an homage to the Weapon X story with Wolverine getting his powers. And so, in the distant past, Raphael was separated from his turtle brothers when they were freshly mutated, collected by Old Hob and raised that way. But they mention a new character that we hadn't heard of, the blind bum Buck, who took him under his wing and I guess taught him a few things, taught him to talk. And Raph is realizing through the hallucinations of being in the tank, being harvested, that his whole life has been pain. It was pain being born. It was pain dying the first time. It was pain watching Buck get killed by two muggers. It was pain when Old Hob found him and he was separated from his family. His whole life is pain and he has to deal with it. And so his friends realize he's missing. He was caught by Bishop, lured to help somebody, and they tased him. But then his friends come to rescue him. The friends who keep him grounded. The turtles aren't in this book, but it's the friends that he's made. Casey and Alopex and Angel come to rescue him, and they break him out. And some lovely character moments again. I think about their friendship and
absolutely. There's a panel in here where we see where it's close to the end. It's where they're trying to all fight Bishop and everything else, and at the bottom of it, it's Raph saying, "Come on, is that all you got, Bishop?" At the top of it is all these shattered read panels of various things that are either going on or happening, and it's just like, it goes to show you that, like you were mentioning with Raph, yes, his brothers are not here, but this isn't about him and his brothers. Mm-hmm. This is about him and how he relates to his life with the people that have made the connections in it, like between, Woody, the pizza guy, who was mainly Mikey's dude, but, between him and between Casey and, like we said, Alopex and Angel, like, this is their time to, shine in this series. And even though this book is hard to dissect because of the, like we've said, back and forth, once you get it, once you get to the point of almost the end of the book, where it's the current day, and, Casey says, sure, man, anything you need, always, let's go eat and hang. And Raph just says to him, I just need some space, bro. I have to process this alone. Cool. It's cool, Angel. Don't worry. Raph's got this. And at the end, Casey says, and I always got your back, bro, always.
I like to think that panel suggests that even though, Alopex hesitates to let Raphael go because dude needs to be with somebody, dude needs to make sure he's okay, but
yeah,
Casey knows, and he lets him go on his own, but I like to think that last panel suggests that Casey's keeping an eye on him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The moment that I think everything comes together for the book is the flashback involving their mom, who, any time Tang Shen comes into it, and, thank you, IDW, for making her a character that's important. She says that the reason he has his anger and his strength is so that he can keep his family safe.
Right.
She's talking about her brothers, but, it's a turtle thing. It's the family that they've made. That is the purpose for Raphael, and his passion is to keep all of his family safe.
Yep, absolutely. And I said at the beginning of this podcast, and I'll say it again now, I have not read, like, when I put my computer and stuff in storage last year, I'm not one to read, like, I need the computer. I need my monitor to be able to read this and see, like, all the stuff that I pointed out that you didn't, like, when Raph is smirking but everybody else is, like, smiling or whatever. Like, I can't notice that on my phone. So, me coming to this Turtles run that we're doing, or this Turtles series that we're doing here inside the Pull Bag, is, like, it's all fresh for me. And it's a refresher for you, which is great, because it's two different perspectives of, like, oh my god, I noticed this, and oh my god, I forgot about that.
And that's an homage to this.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't have known, because I've only ever read IDW. I've never read the Image comics or the original Mirage run or anything like that. So I think that's what makes the two of us doing this worthwhile, besides the fact that we just love fucking doing it.
Yep.
Is that, damn it, these IDW creators are just giving it their all, and they pull us in directions that you just don't ever see coming.
It's interesting. I have not read the Image series. IDW recently reprinted that and actually brought the original creators back to finish it. There's a fan finish that used the original creators, and it was published, I think, out of Russia and imported here if you wanted it. But the IDW did it, and I don't think they used the Russian reprint, the Russian ending, although I bet it's similar. But I need to read that, because if there have been references to the Image run, I wouldn't have caught those. So, man, that kind of makes me think, you saying that right there, I'm like, yes, Archie, I got it. Dreamwave, if they make a reference, I'm there. The cartoons, you and I all know. So we'll catch those references, but we won't catch Image.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway, but I might now.
Not yet, anyway. Yep. Absolutely. And just because we're talking about this, the first volume is up now on Comixology. I'm sure it's out in shops too, because it was released It was released August 14th of last year. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Urban Legends Volume 1. This is it, fans. You demanded it. The entire Image Comics TMNT run, aka TMNT Volume 3, reproduced for the first time ever in full 4-color glory. Joint creators Gary Carlson and Frank Fosco. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Fosco, who knows. As they take their heroes in a half shell on some of their most amazing, dangerous, and bizarre adventures ever, culminating in 3 brand new issues by Carlson and Fosco to properly close out this long-beloved storyline at last. Long out of print and incomplete, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 3 is one of the comics' lost treasures now uncovered at last and completed by the original creators. Collects issues 1 to 13 of the 26-issue series. So that's Volume 1. Now Volume 2 is... Come on, Comixology. Volume 2 is set for a January 27th release next year, 2021. This is it, fans. You demanded it. The entire Image Comics TMNT run, aka TMNT Volume 3, reproduced for the first time. So basically the same thing that I read earlier. This is collects the final 13 issues, 14 to 26 of the series. So 2 volumes for the Image Comics run, reprinted through IDW. So very, very cool. I don't know when we might be able to get around to those, because we have so much that we're doing currently with the IDW run, but we will get to those probably at some point in 2021, at least after that Volume 2 is released.
That's going to be a challenge for me. Those were, I read the first few issues. It got bizarre, and so bizarre that after it wrapped up and Mirage started releasing books again, they completely ignored the continuity where they went. Mm-hmm. And none of that happened. And in fact, the Russian the Russian wrap up of that book, they explained away some kind of universal portal undo to get it set up to pick up where Volume 4 caught up. So, Volume 3 doesn't exist to some Ninja Turtle fans. Like, it's not a thing. Like, you can skip it. But it might be interesting to review, since, I've never completed reading that. I read the first couple of issues, was like, this doesn't feel like my Turtles, and I put them away.
Up next for us here in TMNT on the pull bag, we've got Bebop and Rocksteady, Hit the Road. So that's what's coming up for episode 390. Final thoughts on Macro Series. The only one that I would give a low grade to, only because of some of the art choices, is probably the Donatello arc. I would give that a 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's not really a low grade. It's not bad at all. It's just some of the art things in there just didn't jive with me. For Mikey's is easily a 5. Leo's easily a 5. Raph, only because it was hard to dissect, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. But I still loved it as we went through and talked it out. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't... I have to look at these books, even though they're by artists all across the spectrum. Right. I feel compelled to look at them as one body of work. And so I would review the whole thing as a 5 and say, now, as surprising as this is, being that it's like a filler issue between two story arcs that are about 75 issues into this comic series, that this is a great place to start. You will immediately get a sense for who the Turtles are in IDW, and you'll get a very good look at who they are in the IDW universe, and you'll get the little peeks to see where this version of the Turtles came from, the reincarnation thing, how they met certain characters, what's happened to them right. in some of the flashbacks. So I think it's a great place to start. But anytime you get to spend this much time building character in this way, this is really well done, and not a bad place to start, surprisingly enough.
Absolutely. So, as I said, folks, next time we'll be hitting the road with Bebop and Rocksteady. Where can the people find you online, sir?
Veritably nowhere. Virtually nowhere. I don't know how you'd say that, but I can be found on Facebook if you search for facebook.com/geekstuffgarage-sale. That's my little independent, not a real business convention that I run, but I'm there answering messages. So feel free to let me know what you got to say.
Awesome. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time here inside the Pull Bag. Hello, folks. TFG and Mike here. We've had some things come up here inside the Pull Bag, and this is episode 389. Episode 390 and the rest of this year was going to be Turtles stuff into next year. It's not currently now. I've had to switch up the schedule. So next episode you'll hear myself and JT from Saskatoon talking about the final Back to the Future arc from IDW in Tales from the Time Train. And then JT will return for Scooby-Doo Team Up Volume 1 and 2 from DC. 392 will be Steve Megatron and myself doing Transformers Galaxies number 5 and 6. That will actually be the final episode of the Pull Bag for 2020. In 2021, January, we've got Scooby-Doo Team Up Volumes 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. So Volumes 3 and 4, one podcast, 5 and 6, one podcast. That's 393 and 393 and 394 of the Pull Bag. 395, hopefully, will be Davocracy. And then 396, closing out the month of January 2021, JT and myself will be back for Batman Beyond Volume 6, Divide, Conquer, and Kill. So that's what's coming up here inside the Pull Bag. The Turtles coverage with Joe Reed and myself will continue, just not at this time. Hope everyone has a happy holidays and all that good jazz, and we'll catch you next week for Tales from the Time Train from Back to the Future, and the week after that, for Scooby-Doo Team Up Volumes 1 and 2.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @thepullbag and @geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.